One. Okay, welcome to this conversation that we're just kicking off. Michael, please take the floor.
Great, thank you. So, yeah, it's a great honor to be here. I appreciate having some of bandwidth here just to talk a little bit about EarthStock, the summit, August 19th to 25th, and more than just an event, it's an expression of this whole movement of the old paradigm falling away and kind of regenerating what works and architecting a more positive, peaceful, harmonious, compassionate, and environmentally sensitive future. So I really appreciate this opportunity. Again, I had met Shannon months back, and she's really stepped up to help anchor a very essential part of the week-long summit by hosting every morning a panel based on the various topics of the event. I'll get more into the event, and then through her, I also met Lisa Ayres, who has really stepped up to be support, and more than support, really to help co-create, which is very much the ethos and the mission of this event, is to bring together weavers and visionary people and regenerators and solutionaries and artivists from around the world to come together for a week to help co-create and architect and implement and embody the new paradigm, the new earth, the new humanity. I know there's many verbiages for it. So I wanted to thank you for just the opportunity to be here on conversation and getting to know you as we speak. So we're very much in the quantum chrysalis right now of co-creation and manifestation and connection. And I also wanted to just recognize, I know Marco is also here. And of course, he's a very essential component to your ecosystem and what you do. So very briefly, I was just going to do a quick flashback. By trade, I've been an educator, event producer, musician. I also went through an interfaith seminary program years back called the New Seminary to study about various world religions, everything from Zoroastrianism to Taoism, Confucianism, Buddhism, Hinduism, Judaism, Christianity, indigenous and various earth-centric or even European pagan Druidic traditions, metaphysics, Freud, Jung. So for me, really going way back, it was very apparent to me that most of the symptoms of the lack of unity in the human condition could be solved by trying to find common ground, which we now call unity. So very quickly in 1987, I had time to spend time with the Hopi elders. It was actually right during harmonic convergence. I was strangely enough on my way to Telluride, Colorado for harmonic convergence to do drumming with Baba Olatunji and the Grateful Dead for their big harmonic convergence happening, but I got waylaid and ended up on the Hopi reservation. And since then, things have really accelerated. In 92, attended the Earth Summit, where the world really came together about the importance of sustainable goals for the planet. And then in 94, we did World Unity Festival. 20,000 people gathered at the Grand Canyon. And during that week, the White Buffalo Miracle was born. And that's the same time that we invited and I met Chief Phil Lane, who's an important fiber of this weaving that's happening right now. And of course, and then other events periodically, in 99, Egypt, 2005, the Imagine Peace Festival with the United Nations, and then 2012, a gathering in Mexico at Chichen Itza for the ending of the Mayan calendar. And then after that, I kind of felt like, okay, I did what I said I was going to do. And I kind of just retired mostly from just events and really just focusing on music and being a father and quality of life. But somehow, mystically, mysteriously, 8 months ago, I got a call from some folks along with Chief Phil's asking, what are you doing for the 30th anniversary of the World Unity Festival in 94 and the birth of White Buffalo? And my response is, well, I'm not really doing anything except enjoying a radical sabbatical here in the Rocky Mountains of Crestone, Colorado. Well, since then, and the invitation to participate in many different online communities, Unity Earth, Sign Network, connecting with Shannon and many people, it was obvious that something was supposed to happen. So we started to organize the EarthStock Summit as an eco-spiritual gathering here in Colorado with satellite events around the world. So really quickly, I don't want to take up too much bandwidth or air in the room, but the event was really born out of the need for what we call mending the sacred hoop. And in doing that, incorporating all the different prophecies, the eagle and condor, eighth fire work that Chief Phil Lane with his council and many other indigenous people are doing. Another birth of a white buffalo, and just all around the world, especially on the heels of the whole global reset with the pandemic, it was very obvious that we need to kind of regenerate or recreate or re-architect something that was more holistic. And as the old paradigm falls away, to create an event that was an embodiment of that. So that's what we're doing. August 19th through 25th, we're doing the EarthStock Eco Spiritual Summit. It's 7 days in Crestone, again, with global satellite events. And we put out the call, and we've had over 100 people contact us as far as presenters, and that includes wisdom keepers of many traditions, a grandmother's council, which is asking for their voices to be heard. Here in the West, many of us have kind of lived under this patriarchy of this extractive, hyper capitalistic system. And we're starting to see that it's really not working for everybody. And so this event, we put out a call, and people have showed up and connected with people like Shannon and Humanity Rising, and all these incredible folks from around the world. And then I get to meet you today and have an opportunity to understand conversations and the work that you're doing. And just, again, I'm really happy and honored. And just a little background of decades of evolution that are bringing us to this, for all of us, really, from all the way back to baby boomers and the EarthStock generation and the beatniks and the explosion of art and consciousness, the anti-war movement, the back to the land movement, the American Indian movement, human rights, civil rights, luminaries like Martin Luther King and others that, here we are 50 some odd years later and feeling like we're starting a new chapter of this evolution of consciousness. So that's where we are today.
Thank you so much, Michael. That was wonderful. Jamen, come on in and talk to him.
Okay, beautiful. Love the synopsis, Michael. I am so grateful to you for all that you have done and all that you are doing and will do. And I'm so grateful to Shannon and Lisa for bringing us all together. Thank you so much, ladies. This is just really amazing. So let me give as concise an update as I can. So first of all, in no particular order, but in the last few years, Marco and I and other colleagues in the Americas, including Chief Phil, and colleagues in Ireland, we put together Kindred Spirits Ireland, and we did a big event in Ireland in 2022 where we had representatives of various First Nations from the Americas travel over to Ireland to meet with their sisters and brothers, the indigenous people of the island First Nation of Ireland. And we celebrated, among other things, the 175th anniversary of the Choctaw gift. Are you familiar with the Choctaw gift by chance, Michael?
No, I'm not.
Okay, so among the first slaves in the Americas were Irish indentured servants. Some of them escaped and moved in and were accepted by the Choctaw Nation, intermarried. The Choctaw Nation had been through their own trail of tears, forcibly being relocated from what is now the state of Georgia to what is now called Oklahoma. And they lost about a quarter of their population on that trail of tears. And once the dust settled and they were, basically established in Oklahoma, their Irish sisters and brothers told them about what was happening in Ireland, the forced starvation in Ireland at the hands of British imperialism. And the Choctaws sold everything that they could. They were deeply empathetic and compassionate, sold everything they could, raised all the gold that they could, and two emissaries took that gold to Europe and bought food for the starving Irish. And thus began this beautiful connection across this great ocean and across cultures and languages and histories between the Choctaw Nation and the island First Nation of Ireland. And so then there's this beautiful trajectory. So we kind of reactivated that because it had sort of gone quiet, and did a beautiful series of events, a celebration with music and dance from the Americas, from Ireland, and then a conference that just went late into the night. And we talked about bringing together all peoples, that we are all sisters and brothers. And Chief Phil Lane actually convened. He gave the initial speech of the conference, and that in turn kicked off more and more conversations and gatherings. And so Marco and I and James Desmond of Ireland teamed up with Chief Phil, and all of our relatives throughout the Americas who are able to attend both in person and virtually for the first union of the eagle, condor, quetzal, and hummingbird in Palenque in 2023, last year. And there, James Desmond, who's the leader and founder of Kindred Spirits Ireland from the Ireland side, he was, I guess the term, and Marco helped me out here, but he was staked as a warrior, and who plants a stake in the ground in the middle of the battlefield, tethers himself to the stake, and says, and Chief Phil and the Mayan chief Alexis, who were there, they, channeling the Great Spirit, said, James, you are staked as a great warrior, and your part of your mission is to connect our indigenous First Nations of Europe. Obviously, we all come from First Nations. Some of us were colonized before others, but that doesn't make us any less children of Mother Earth. And so anyway, James has been given this huge mission and responsibility, and all of us at Kindred Spirits Ireland. So I wanted to mention that, and the connections with Chief Phil and the eagle, condor, quetzal, and hummingbird, just giving the highlights at this point. Next, I'll show just a little bit of visual, since a picture is worth 1,000 words. Back in 2012, 2013, I became one of the leaders of the movement to legalize cannabis. And so I reached out to my old friend, former Mexican President Vicente Fox, with whom I had collaborated years earlier on tearing down the digital divide. And we put together a press conference. I'll just show you a couple quick excerpts. But this press conference...
Okay. All right.
If I may, just really quick,
please,
before we do that,
yeah,
I just wanted to mention in '94 at World Unity, and I'm starting to see the nodes of connection that during that time of the World Unity gathering, we also did an earth staking ceremony. So what you were just describing, is something that connects us in a very profound way. And I will say, more than just talking about it, the people that are doing the work, but also that was a sacred commitment, as you know, in the work that we're doing, and really part of our connection to Chief Phil, and a whole lineage going into the 7th generation of, the souls that are here to help at this time of the great purification, and us to migrate, whatever they want to call it, the Hopi, the 5th world, or the 6th sun. But yeah, the staking ceremony is a very powerful ceremony and commitment for the earth, and to help and serve humanity.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you, Michael. No, you've been at this for so long. Incredible. What a trajectory. I kind of see you as a godfather of this movement of movements. So thank you again. So here I'll just show a couple excerpts, and just really briefly again, because a picture is worth 1,000 words. But this is after we had been at the legalization process in Washington and Colorado for 6 months after they were voted into law, the same night that President Obama was reelected for his second term. But 6 months later, we still didn't have any word from the federal government. So we organized this international press conference. Again, I'll just play a couple of clips here.
Thank you all for being here. Before I introduce our distinguished guests, I would like to begin with a quote from the late astrophysicist Carl Sagan. "The illegality of cannabis is outrageous, an impediment to full utilization of a plant which helps produce the serenity and insight, sensitivity and fellowship so desperately needed in this increasingly mad and dangerous world." Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce to you the first freely elected president of Mexico, Señor Presidente.
So I skipped ahead here to where I introduced President Fox. And just listen to the first minute.
For that position. This state of Washington has decided to lead a new path, a path to change the paradigm by legalizing medical and social use of cannabis. In Mexico, we welcome this initiative because the cost of the war, in the case of Mexico, is becoming unbearable. Too high for Mexico, Latin America, and the rest of the world. The impact in the economy, on income, on tourism investment, loss of talent, and above all, loss of hope, and 80,000 kids dead in the last 6 years. All this because our neighbor to the north.
Anyway, that just gives you a taste of that press conference. So between the silence from our nation's capital over the first 6 months of the legalization process, not telling us whether it's a green light or a red light, are we going to kick in your doors, et cetera, and the impact on Mexico and Latin America and the rest of the world, that press conference forced the hand of the Obama administration. It went straight to Obama's desk, and within 3 months, they legalized cannabis. Not with the change in law, but with the change in policy. One thing Obama and Eric Holder could do without having to go through Congress and years of deliberation and kicking it up and down the hill and back and forth and all that, they just legalized. So boom. Anyway, so that is just an example of some movements that we've taken on and been able to make a significant impact. Another picture is worth 1,000 words thing that I'll show here very briefly is on the climate front, and that'll get to something that we're working on today and just had a major breakthrough yesterday, in fact. So here we are in Glasgow, Scotland. This is just Decouple Media did a piece on us. We were covered extensively, and we were actually called. This is at COP26 in Glasgow, Scotland, the big, IPCC United Nations conference on climate change that happens every year. So we were called by the British press the runaway success of COP26. So I'll just give you a taste here.
Prieston from Decouple. I'm here in my temporary home studio in Belgium, where I'm working on some new videos about what we might call the Great European Energy Pickle. More on that to come. Of late, the couple's been very busy running around Scotland and Germany trying to get some answers from authorities about what the actual one person that did give us some straight answers, though, was Hollywood's most misunderstood parent himself, Darth Vader. We found the Dark Lord just outside the gates of COP26 singing 80s musical parodies about geoengineering.
Won't you come see about these? We've got solutions to exponential planetary overheating.
Vader turned out to be Jamen Shively, a former executive at Microsoft and an early advocate for and investor in legalized cannabis.
There's a high-powered new business venture in the works to create a national brand to sell, and want to be precise, to sell marijuana. It's the brainchild of a former Microsoft high executive and the former Mexican president Vicente Fox.
The Berlin Wall of the prohibition of cannabis is weak.
For me, the question here is, will Shively turn out to be as prescient about geoengineering as he was about cannabis?
When you walk away, what are you walking away from? Actual solutions to planetary overheating. Actual solutions that we can implement that will actually cool the planet, as opposed to this myopic focus on decarbonization. Don't get me wrong, decarbonization, great, wonderful. It's just too little too late at this point, having crossed through tipping point after tipping point.
So this is Jamen Shively.
At your service.
Wonderful. Civil and environmental engineer. You studied hydroclimatology.
Yes.
MIT, was it?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful.
Anyway,
Love it.
just a taste. We were there for 2 weeks, and again, we were called by the British press the runaway success of COP26, which was otherwise Flop 26. You know, a bunch of blah 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 that was totally obscure. There was nothing coming out of it of any importance, other than that, because there we promoted heavily marine cloud brightening, among other forms of solar radiation management, for reflecting sunlight back into space, which is frankly the only way to put out the planetary fire at this moment in 2024. Were it 50 years ago in 1974, we had a lot of other options. We could have decarbonized like crazy back then and averted this whole mess. But given where we are now and how much, you know, greenhouse gases are already in the atmosphere that are virtually impossible to sequester with the technology we have now, I'm all for sequestration. Once it works, somebody call me immediately and we'll, you know, and we'll.
So does that mean my tinfoil hat won't work anymore?
Your tinfoil hat is actually an important part of solar radiation management, because that actually reflects sunlight back into space. So please wear that hat.
Well, my friends in Mount Shasta and Sedona will be happy to hear that.
Very good.
Well, I just want to comment. Amazing, just the work that you're doing, and I think the key is practical solutions. We know that there's enough, there's too much big interest of the 1%ers that are oppressing a majority of the technology and the solutions and the informations that will benefit the 99%. I think it all comes down to really a lot of hyper capitalism. But it's so nice to see that you're doing solutions, because again, really a big part of EarthStock is bringing together, and I won't get into our EarthStock, which is our actual foundation. We do have a DAO group of over 100 consultants and contractors, and actually access to products and technology. That part of EarthStock event is we want to start deploying that and letting people know, like you were saying, with Senor Vader, that the solutions are there, but there's no political will. And it really takes an evolution of people to, many facets of the political pressure, but starting to implement, starting to become more regenerative, starting to become more self-sustainable, and not not depending on this broken system. So that was brilliant. I love seeing that. I enjoyed a good healthy chuckle in the middle of my day. But I just want to acknowledge you because you obviously have an understanding of the science. I'm not sure what you're tapped into for technologies, but again, EarthStock, besides the indigenous element of traditional knowledge and the focus on spirituality, and also the importance of arts and culture in the regenerative wheel, this full spectrum design, we have to look at things also, as you're saying, like green technologies. We have to look at health and wellness. We have to look at the idea of how media plays a role in this. We have to look at alternative economic models, the potentiality of considering other types of governance. And I know with that has cropped up a whole population of people that are very focused on the sovereignty movement, whether it's personal sovereignty or land sovereignty, and that gets expressed through private memberships or land patents and all these things. But people are waking up, and we're starting to take back, I would say, humbly take back our power of being able to architect our future together. So that's a big part of EarthStock, is making sure that we have each day addressing a specific element, whether it's women and youth or ecology or health or governance and peace and justice or arts and culture, that we have to bring all these luminaries of these fields together. And we're not trying to I've been doing this for a while, so we're not trying to be the network of networks or the big kid on the block. What we're trying to do is just find those partnerships and be able to build bridges between, again, indigenous communities, individuals, organizations, NGOs, nonprofits, and also government organizations or agencies that actually want to make this regenerative transition. So it's an all-in moment. And it's sad to see, because a lot of people are focused on the divisiveness of what keeps us apart and want to spend a lot of time, battling that. But like Buckminster Fuller said, instead of fighting what we're against, it's better to come together and create an alternative. So I wanted to say kudos to you for amazing edutainment and really bringing your voice out. And of course, having the science and the intellectual understanding behind it to help people make that transition.
I want to step in at this point, if I might, just to say how honored I am to be a part of what's going on. I have been led to both of you through, divine means, and I have connected with you as just people. And to hear the magnificence that you have both embraced throughout your lifetimes, I am very impressed. I'm very glad to be a part of this. And I'm also very glad to be a part of another step that you guys are going to be taking, and that is appearing on Humanity Rising. Both of you have now got dates to appear with Jim, which makes you both eligible to be on part of the sparkling conversations of EarthStock. And I am so thrilled. When I was, 13 years old or something, there was an event, and it was called Woodstock. And I could not understand why I couldn't go and be a part of that. But now I am going to be part of EarthStock, and that for me is even more meaningful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I want to just address that. So Shannon, more than just being a part of it, you're actually helping to midwife it. And I want to commend you for your dedication. And, we're all putting so much of our hearts into this. It's not like we're monetizing every minute. There's a lot of volunteerism. There's a lot of service that people are bringing, which is really essential. So I just want to acknowledge you for all the work that you do, and being one of the galactic midwives to help bring this energy through. And I will say this, we're doing a modest event this year. As you know, we're inviting up to 500 people for this deep immersion in Crestone. But part of it is the people we're working with and the potential and the communications and the relationships that are being forged on really many continents. As you know, every week we have a EarthStock Europe, an EarthStock Africa, an Asia group, an Australia group, a Central South America group, and then not only just groups, but connections of people who are doing amazing projects, you know, and it's a really exciting time and very dynamic. So, yeah, I wasn't at Woodstock either, but we're 50 some odd years later, we're carrying the torch forward from that incredible zeitgeist moment to bring it into focusing on what needs to be done as solutionaries and as human beings who see a brighter future than the dark narrative that's being projected by a lot of the corporate propaganda and such. And I'm super excited because I wanted just to acknowledge the fact that you are doing keeping the room open constantly. I wanted to acknowledge Marco. I'm not sure how this all works out, but one of the challenges with EarthStock is we're going to start every day with Shannon doing the conversations, sparkling conversations. And then we have another 2-hour window where we're going to switch to bring in conversations.
Michael, the
Yep.
intention is to have my 2 hours and then come for the afterglow in the conversation, relative an hour-ish, so that the panel is accessible by the people who have been listening.
Absolutely. And this is an interesting thing. I will say I've done a couple of broadcasts recently for Earth Day weekend. We did, and just to kind of get into the nuts and bolts of EarthStock, we do have a couple on the ground initiatives like Build Back Green. It's our basic regenerative green responders. And right now we're doing a project in Maui after the fire and Acapulco after the hurricane. So we also have a transition to sustainability project where we can deploy some of the solutionaries and consultants and contractors. So we very much are, you know, we're sitting on this incredible resource pool of people who want to help and are architecting and bringing the solutions. So we've started these campaigns. So part of the event of during the whole week of EarthStock is again about weaving together so we can all know each other's superpowers and be more effective. So starting, you know, each day with Shannon and then going to different regions and then from 1 to 6 being in Crestone broadcast. And then in the evening at 6 p.m. switching over to Asia. One of the challenges is how do we maintain a bridge of communication throughout that can happen, like you were saying, Shannon, in a breakout room or a space where other people's voices can be heard. I've had issues lately doing a couple of big events, like I was saying during Earth Day weekend, where actually the Zoom room got infiltrated and hacked, and we actually had people coming in. One of them was the individual and indigenous land sovereignty conference with Chief Phil and Marcello and the Alliance for Indigenous Nations and other things. So I'm just saying, you know, we're at this quandary of how do we have inclusivity, but how do we protect what we're broadcasting out to the world from being hacked? And I won't get into it, but it was pretty horrific, some of the nature of some of the hacks and what was being shown to disrupt the coherence and the message of the group. So I'm saying this because the potential of as I'm understanding more about your platform and conversation and the potential to co-create together here in the quantum moment, just riffing from the downloads from the Akashic, the potential of having space during the week open where people can drop in and have these roundtables and have their voices heard. So that has been like a real, and Shannon is kind of, again, midwife and initiate that through the after chat, but I can really see that if someone can help hold space with that, because also we're going to have Shannon now in Colorado with us. So there's going to be a lot of stuff to do outdoors, ceremony, being in nature, So even though she's holding that space, there's really a need to be able to have room for people to go in and to have conversation and discourse. So just a subtle but non expectational proposal, let's say.
Well,
Well,
I think Jamen, I'm sorry. I just, because of being involved with the after chat, I have to say that it stands on holidays, and so is Humanity Rising. And so there is that resource as well I may be able to secure. But Jamen, you were going to say something. Come on in.
yeah, well, I won't speak for Marco, but this seems like the kind of thing that where we could step in and support with 24/7 campfire support during that, during that whole period. And if we are able to do it, please don't look at it as a favor. This is what we do. This is what we love to do. And it's because for us, it's really so much of what we're doing is about the conversation, is about bringing people together in conversation, and people from all around the world, from all different perspectives. And while our big vision for that is to span all the topics and issues of importance and opportunities of importance, lately we've been preparing to launch two major parallel initiatives for cooling the planet. So combining collective human intelligence, or CHI, collective human intelligence, CHI, bringing that, and as you've seen in some of this, in the things that I screen shared, we're pretty good at kind of getting laser focused on exactly where the sweet spot is. President Vicente Fox and all the suffering that Mexico's gone through with their drug war, and then with marine cloud brightening as this amazing silver bullet solution for global warming. We're with collective human intelligence. What we're working on right now is precisely crossing collective human intelligence with the urgency of cooling the planet. And so we're starting these two initiatives, which I'll talk about, which will be ramping up over the coming months. And so by mid-August, we should really have amazing communities and forums going, which we can then bring to EarthStock and bring to this kind of 24/7 coverage, so that there's already kind of a substantial sort of starter community there that can welcome. And also we'll by then have had amazing experience fanning out into literally hundreds of breakout rooms, so that conversations can happen in parallel, which is a huge part of of CHI, collective human intelligence, which I'll put into the chat, because from CHI something emerges, which I'll talk about in a second. Collective human intelligence. And once we get that up above a certain critical mass, that then evolves into something which we pronounce CHISI, which is collective human super intelligence, which you also see in the chat. And that is literally going to usher in a whole new paradigm for humanity as a new species, an evolution from Homo sapiens to Homo ahimsa, the caretaker species of the planet, caring for each other, caring for Mother Earth, but based on collective human superintelligence, which is the inevitable result of an unbounded network of parallel and hyperconnected conversations, just like this one. So, and that's happening all over the Zoomosphere already. What's missing is the super glue. Conversations are happening all over the place, and conversations are beckoning to happen. We're going to, ignite this in the realm of of cooling the planet, which is just the urgency of that is just unspeakable at this point. It's gone absolutely exponential. You all have heard the news. I don't need to recap it for you, but it's absolutely horrific, absolutely exponential. And so people are frustrated beyond any words, but living in this Orwellian, world, we're all, just to go back to 1984, we're all walking down the street with our briefcases, shaking hands and complimenting each other on what a wonderful world the totalitarian government has put together. And and people are just going absolutely crazy. And so by launching the Chi for cooling the planet, we believe that is going to go exponential in terms of membership, and that will probably take us right through all the tipping points to become an actual chizzy. And then it will be just obvious that this can be applied and will be applied to absolutely everything, not just cooling the planet. But anyway, let me pass the feather, because I said quite a mouthful there.
Thank you. And I want to jump in because there's two things that got me. Michael DiMartino has put in EarthStock Summit register link in the chat. Jamen, that is especially for you. And the other thing I wanted to say is that I support absolutely your dedication to your beliefs in what needs to be done. And what is happening at EarthStock is the grandmothers are coming together. And I really want Mother Earth to be consulted in this undertaking. If she is not in with us, it's not going to be done. And I want to see what happens. This is what I came here for. I get butterflies when I think about this. And so thank you so much, Michael. Come on. What do you say?
I want to first and foremost, I just feel the glass ceiling shattering as we're talking right now. I mean, this is truly incredible. I want to check in with Marco too, because if we could have that week of open space, it would be amazing. It could also be scheduled or tailored to make it so it kind of works for everyone. So I just wanted to acknowledge that. But this is an absolute cornerstone component to the success of what the summit's mission is: fusing spirituality with technology, with ecology, bringing in the voice of the traditional people, giving the first day of honor to the grandmothers, to the women, and to the youth. We're connecting with incredible organizations. I mean, just Kelly Lavelle alone used to be a member connected to the United Nations General Assembly, but she was frustrated at the lack of the voice of the youth. So she started Younga and put a Y for youth in front of that. And she started her own organization 4 years ago and now has youth in every country in the world doing sustainability projects. So this kind of hyper accelerated networking that's happening. Exactly, Shannon. It's like, I'm trying not to cry right now because it's truly miraculous what's occurring. I've also EarthStock as an invitation from Chief Phil and putting the toe back in the water after the 3 years of this whole global reset and everyone reevaluating their priorities, has brought me full circle back in touch with people like Rick Lukens and United Earth, who produced a Live Aid concert. Other people who are highly involved in the entertainment industry, from Live Nation, from MTV, and everyone has this dream of like literally a consciousness shifting event. So I'm saying this because all of us, as the baby is crowning right now, and we're starting to see what's being midwifed, the potential of the synergy that we're all building right now for accelerated, possibly, like you said, 100th monkey, this instantaneous transformation of the whole human condition, which we all know from the prophecies. We hear it every day. And in these sort of conscious media, whether we call it ascension or the new paradigm. So I'm really intrigued about the potential of this component being part of the co-creation of EarthStock. I also wanted to say that on Tuesday is Ancient Prophecies, Future Visions. I think you being part, and I also want to be sensitive to whatever Shannon is putting together for her panel. But I think you talking about this vision of this human potential acceleration and what you're bringing through the technology is absolutely needs to be shared on that day, as far as future visions of things that are happening right now and how that lays the groundwork from the ancient prophecies. And again, we have Chief Phil and many prophecy keepers who will be talking, but showing people the actual utilities, the actual tools that are bringing us to not just the vision, but the actualization and embodiment of this new paradigm of this new Earth. Let's say the other component is Thursday's ecology, and I want to share this. I know Shannon knows the daily themes, but you speaking about the what's happening with the heating up of the planet and talking very nuts and bolts about the work that you're doing. I think, I mean, that is such a foundational piece. So again, I know Shannon is making the connection. I know she's organizing her daily panel. My
daily panel is I'm sorry to interrupt. My daily panel is a conversation between people. It's not a place for a presentation what you're talking about. Jamen needs to bring that piece.
Absolutely. I would dare to say, I'm not sure where you are in the world, but if there's a chance to have you here in Colorado, because there's just something very powerful and transformational is going to happen. And I will say, this area, I don't know if you know Crestone, Colorado, it's one of the most green building embracing counties in the country, 20 spiritual centers. It actually was started as kind of an Oroville-esque community 40 years ago by Hannah and Maurice Strong. Maurice is the one who started the Earth Summit in Brazil in '92 and introduced the concept of sustainable development goals. But it's a very special place of activism, of environment. So I want to extend an invitation, but nonetheless, just in the time that we have, as we're all co-creating history at this moment, the pieces of the puzzle that you're bringing together, and the stewardship by Lisa and Shannon to have this conversation happen, because I will say the patriarchy, the men are learning to get out of the way and recognize the leadership and the intuitive and matrilineal power of the feminine energy, which is the white buffalo. It is the balance. So I want to honor both of them for the work that they're doing and to help have the intuitive intelligence and insight to bring us together today. This is truly groundbreaking.
This is boil, toil, and trouble. It feels so good. It's the butterflies are actually flying information. This is what I came here for. And I am so deeply grateful to be well met, gentlemen. Thank you so much.
I just want to point out again, so many synchronicities. I've really been paying a lot of attention to them since 2020. And then going back, realizing I've had them in spades my whole life, just didn't pay enough attention to them. Because I met Jamen through the Harmonic Convergence 2020, organized by Mark Sims. And you were at the first Harmonic Convergence. So with Jose Arguello. And so there's another great synchronicity. And I've been connected to Chief Phil, didn't know it since I was 10 years old, when I had a prophetic dream about these pyramid-shaped buildings that didn't make sense to me at 10 years old, because they had not smooth sides, but steps. And at the top, there were rooms instead of coming to a point, and they were in like a jungle setting. And then in 2023, Phil started sending me information about the election of the first sacred council of the Union of the Condor, the Quetzal, the Eagle, and the Hummingbird, and then an invitation with the with the flyer, the digital flyer, talking about the equinox ceremony led by Chief Alexis, you know, Mayan chief at the Mayan temples in Palenque. And I'm like, oh my God, that's the place I dreamt about. And then in 2023, I, you know, attended that Mayan ceremony with, you know, so yeah, it's just amazing how we're all coming together again.
And it's amazing that you said that, because you know, we have enough perspective of the big picture. We know it's not just about one event or one organization. I mean, this is literally, you could not even write a Hollywood script that would be more fascinating and amazing of what's happening in real time. And the fact that we have movies like Avatar coming out, and these ones that are bringing these spiritual messages that are encouraging the awakening, and what's happening every day is just it is fascinating. And part of what is amazing right now, you know, we've talked about sustainability for a long time, and I work with Professor Alan Tratner. He was one of the original co-founders of Earth Day, and 50 some odd years of incubating 400 something green nonprofits and green technology. And he's definitely one of our strategic alliances. And I will say, through this event, we see the next harmonic of strategic alliances. Like we're all coming together to meet each other. The call has gone out. But you know, what's fascinating is that through all of this and weaving together, you know, we are the regeneration. We are the baby boomers, the Woodstockers, the millennials. We're the Generation Xers, the Generation Zs. Like, this generation spans all generations. It's a movement of unity. It's a unity of compassion. It's a unity. It's a culture of service. And with the wisdom of the traditionals and the prophecies, and now that we have the benefit of these technologies and understanding ourselves and the universe at a more profound level, we can see the light at the end of the tunnel. So the regeneration generation is here, and we're connecting through the internet, not the inter, but the internet. And we're also connecting at the same time through the planetary mycelial network, connecting all around the world, the people who are all waking up to be part of this transformation.
This is the fun part.
Yep, absolutely. And I just love that I haven't had to speak at all. It all just came through. That's fantastic. I just say yes to everything.
Well, we want more than that from you, girl. You just,
Oh, geez.
rest assured, rest while you can. We'll get
Yes,
you.
you will. You will. And I'm here. Absolutely.
I'm so glad.
This has been a great meeting. Holy cow. So much came of this. I tried to take some notes in the chat, so someone save the chat as well as the recording.
I would like to mention that it seems to me that recordings like this, and perhaps we should turn the recording off at this point, because what I'm seeing is